So anyways, just to get things started, for the 6 people in Canada that have been living under a snowbank, just let them know how you got the name.
Man, let's see.
Wow, it's an old tale.
It's an old tale. It goes back to ancient times. Well, it's interesting. The formation of the group initially was between me and a very old friend who was a drummer at the time, and we pulled together a group. Sam started coming in, Josh started coming in, and we didn't have a name. And then the drummer couldn't quite keep up, so Daniel came in. And we needed a band name. It had been years and we still hadn't had a band name. I guess it was the old drummer who said he had to go cut wood for Greta Van Fleet. He was skipping practice. He had to go cut wood for this woman. And we thought, well, that's an interesting name, Greta Van Fleet. What could that mean? It's like, doesn't quite sound like a name as much as some sort of Dutch, mythological like book or something. And we're like, so we took Gretna and we took the N out, and it was Greta Van Fleet, and that just kind of stuck. I mean, I guess it's kind of a part of our heritage, and
Right.
I guess the part of the town the small town that we grew up in, Frankenmuth, the German town.
Mhm.
And I guess Gretna Van Fleet later turns out to be of Dutch origins, meaning like pearl of the sea or light of the ocean.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty cool. But again, I think the coolest part is the most interesting part is that we get to sort of take a piece of our home everywhere that we go and everywhere we
Right.
tour.
So does the previous drummer, are you giving him royalties? The name, or?
We can't find him.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
We,
I was
we
just gonna
literally
say
cannot find him.
he's probably kicking himself these days, but anyways, sure. I mean, you guys aren't very far from where I am, actually.
No.
I'm a Yooper.
Yeah.
I'm from Sault Ste. Marie.
Oh wow.
Beautiful.
Amazing.
On the Canadian side, though.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a beautiful place.
That's
For
the
sure.
better
Thanks.
side.
Yeah. More. Yeah.
Okay,
Spectral.
so this album is a lot deeper than peaceful. Did you intend it to be a concept album, or did things just morph that way because of what you see in society or in the last year and a half?
A little bit of it was a little bit of that, you know. I don't think when we started forming this album, we had a bunch of ideas, and we knew that there were still some ideas yet to be had. And we kind of met with Greg Kurstin, and when we talked about the basic outline of, we wanted to create something very orgasmic and cinematic and big, and kind of start on a clean slate, as you will, sonically. And once he was on board, and he was very inspired by the ideas and conversation with him, we kind of started recording a couple tracks. And as those tracks started developing, the lyrics started developing, and we kind of realized that this album was a representation of where we currently were, and we had a lot to get out and a lot to express musically and lyrically. So it was kind of, it wasn't as much of a concept album as it was just a product of us experiencing the world the way we had.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, so much of our travels in the last 3 years or so have really informed what we sort of wanted to create. But again, like Danny said, there's some of it was intentional and some of it was, not so intentional.
Like a byproduct of society right now, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Okay, so my next question was about Greg. I'm thinking normally, I mean, interviews like this go about the album and the songs, but I'm telling you, Greg Kurstin, what can you say about him? What did he bring out of you guys that you didn't know you had? Because first, and the other thing is the mixing. I don't know who mixed the album, but I was listening to the album first time on these cheap earbuds riding my stationary bike, and I swear I couldn't believe the sound. So imagine listening to it on a decent sound system. So whoever mixed it deserves some accolades, but Greg obviously brought out some stuff. So what did you notice that was different from the first album?
Yeah, I suppose working with Greg would be unlike working with any previous producer as well for many ways. And he definitely illuminated every aspect of our creative consciousness. And it was like, the amount of wisdom and age and experience that he brings to the table sort of elevates the credibility of the entire project in a certain way. I mean, it was problem solving. There was like so much. If we'd come to reach maybe a bridge or a selected section of a song and say, we've got maybe 3 options here, and we'd bring it to Greg, we couldn't make our minds up. It'd be something like that where he can say, well, I like all 3 equally. I do. This one makes more musical sense because of this, but I think we should go with this one because of this. So he was he could help us sort of navigate the seas when they got a little stormy. And it was like Danny has said in the past as well, which is a good way to explain this, is the creative process never slowed down. It was very continuous because of Greg. We never really reached too many writer's blocks, or we never came to any bridges we couldn't cross at a pretty immediate pace. So that was something that it was really interesting that Greg sort of brought to the table that we hadn't really experienced in that such a way before.
He brought a lot of confidence out of us too,
absolutely.
As musicians. And I think when we first started recording years and years ago, the Black Smoke Rising, From the Fires, and Anthem of the Peaceful Army, we were still very new to the whole studio scene, and we were beaten down pretty hard.
Oh yeah.
But a lot of that was very deserving. You kind of have to fall flat on your face before you get back up again. And so it was, and after 3 years of touring and kind of developing chops as musicians, Greg just kind of gave us that confidence that we needed to be fully productive and creative. And we recorded all of this album live, and he pushed for that, and to tape, and he pushed for that. And, so there are a lot of different ways that he just really opened us up as musicians.
Yeah. And I think it's important to say that he gave us more freedom than we've ever had before in the studio.
Well, I think the first album gave you so much credibility that, he's going to give you the freedom, right? And he's experienced with Paul McCartney, Foo Fighters, so he knows, right? When he can sense things. That's what I'm trying to say.
Definitely, well-deserved credibility for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, going on to the next one. It's a little bit longer, but I'm telling you, there's such a wide spectrum and from my generation, my demographic, but your parents will get it. But I'm going to name all the songs, and I'm going to tell you what I think of them and who I think they relate to. And let's see if you guys recognize any of the bands or you agree. So
cool.
The first 2 cuts, the heat above, I just found it light up and bouncy, nice. My Way Soon, it's like a 60s-esque Beatles-ish kind of thing. Actually, the intro reminds me, the show Friends?
I do.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. The intro guitar riff is kind of a Friends kind of thing, so people might get that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, Broken Bells.
That's interesting.
Broken Bells is like kind of a Pink Floyd meets Zeppelin. That's in my opinion. I guess this is one that's very important. Age of Machine has an Hell's Bells AC/DC kind of a sound. Have you been told that?
No, but that's an interesting comparison. I guess you can. I suppose you can get that with the sort of guitar tonality, the directness of that, the drums that were so sort of dry and in your face, and then the heavy, again, the bass, all the elements are kind of right there. So I can see why you'd say that. Yeah. Stardust Chords, it reminds me of a band, Empire of the Sun. Cool. I don't know that I'm familiar with that one.
Okay. Well, they're a Greta Van Fleet copy band. No, just kidding. This one's very interesting. Okay, do you guys listen to country at all?
A little bit.
Old country.
All right, Light My Love has, in the guitar tone anyways, Jake, it's got a Brad Paisley kind of a sound. Would you agree? Interesting.
Yeah, I guess I'm not super familiar with the Brad Paisley discography, but I certainly would. I'd be interested in listening to it just see what that,
because it's a clean tone. No one uses a clean tone.
No one uses that. It's all you're right. It's a good point.
I really like the reverb too that's used throughout the album.
Oh yeah, that was interesting. So we recorded at Henson's studio, and they had a reverb chamber. It was literally this little building in the back of the studio where they'd put the amps up and a microphone, and we pretty much used that and maybe the plate reverb in the studio walls every once in a while, but it was kind of just that Henson room. It was interesting.
Are you guys familiar with Lenny Kravitz?
Yeah.
Carousel reminds me a bit about that. Like, it's just that way that your chunky kind of riff comes in.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying, especially with the tonality of the guitar in that one.
Yeah. Hendrix meets the band Heart for the Barbarian.
That's cool.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I would love to see that.
Take that.
Actually, Josh would recognize it because the singing sounds a bit the same.
And
And
Wilson.
yeah, exactly. So,
Oh, yeah.
and don't get Josh to kick my ass because I'm not calling him a girl. I'm just saying just the way it flowed.
Man, that's a compliment. Her voice is incredible.
One of my favorites.
Trip to Light, fantastic. I hear Rush, especially with Sam's bass lines.
Cool.
And Kate, now I want you to walk me through the Weight of Dreams and the way it reminds me of Hotel California, the Eagles kind of thing, and especially your outro solo. But I mean, Danny, you're like just drumming for 9 minutes. I mean, you probably lose 10 pounds every time.
Yeah, after all those takes, I definitely lost some weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, we left the studio like skeleton. Like,
So just walk me through that song lyrically.
yeah. So I think, I mean, even if we start in terms of the instrumental aspects of the song, it was interesting that the sort of story behind that song in particular is one of very interesting stories of many of these songs. It was sort of, we were going to Pennsylvania. We were on tour in North America, and we stopped somewhere in Pennsylvania because Danny's hands were pretty beat up from very consistent touring. So it was this little town. I can't remember off the top of my head what the name of the town was, but there was one hotel we were staying at. The bus was stationary, and there was one Waffle House. And so there wasn't much really to do. Yeah. So we started sort of riding around in the bus, and those beginning sort of phrasing for that song, the riff, the motif in the beginning started to come together, and we didn't really think much of it. So we got back on the road, and during this tour, there was a part of the show where we were looking for some sort of a transitional piece from one song to the next. Right. And so we took this off the shelf again, and we were like, this could be interesting. So it started as 1, 2, maybe 3 minutes of a transition, and we called it Black Flag Exposition was the name of it. So we started touring with that. And very quickly it became, it went from 3 minutes to 20 minutes long, and everybody's playing on each other. The guitars coming through, the drums are on top of that, Mellotron's coming on top of that, Josh is on top of that. So fans had really, I think, responded to that. We went down to South America with it, and we went to Europe with it, and people were really responding to it. It had sort of become the arc of the show in a certain way.
But it wasn't a song yet.
No, but it wasn't a song yet. It was still sort of an atmospheric thing. And so we decided that we should take it and sculpt it into a song. And then, we went out to the country here in Nashville. We demoed it, and we called it The Weight of Dreams. And then that was sort of it. And then we went to LA and we recorded it and made the record.
And I think lyrically, it's kind of, it represents the brutal reality of, the Western gold rush sort of lust for fortune. The weight of dreams is a bit of a metaphor.
You segued, Jake, into a question I was going to ask. Being on the Fallon show, I wasn't sure if you guys are going to be present literally, or is it just going to be you're going to be playing your set from Nashville?
We're playing our set from Nashville later tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not on the show like with him in present. Yeah, I figured that. I wasn't sure how that was going to work. Will you be speaking with Jimmy or from?
Unfortunately, no. It's a bit of a double-edged sword. On the one hand, you don't get to actually be there and experience that atmosphere and meet Jimmy and but on the other hand, you get full control over the set design, and it's like you're offered this opportunity, so you want to make the most of it. So we built a stage here in Nashville, and we're gonna have we have our own mixing front of house guy there to kind of handle the sound, and it's sort of our production at that point.
And we're going there tonight. The cameras will be up, and we'll be rolling it live.
Right on. I'll be watching it. What are you guys doing in your spare time? Like, I mean, do you guys watch? You guys into Netflix, or you guys skateboard? What do you guys do?
I like to golf. I'm a
Oh,
big
really?
golfer.
Okay, cool. Sweet.
Massive golfer. He's being
Massive golfer.
humble right now.
I'm pretty
Oh,
good.
yeah?
I'll take your money.
I'll give it to you because I can't golf.
Yeah,
What do you do?
we always
Jake,
so
what do you-
we always sort of try to find different things that we do sort of outside of music in a
Yeah.
sense. I mean, I like painting. I still play soccer. I have a field near me, and I like to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, different sort of like
Surfing.
things. Love to surf.
Oh.
Not a lot of surfing in Nashville.
I was
but-
just gonna say, where would you go?
You just have to get a wakeboard, put it behind the lake, and then
Australia,
Yeah.
Los Angeles.
Canadian favorite band, past or present, or
Ooh.
artist?
that's a tough
Steppenwolf, 100%.
one. Nice.
Really? Both
Yeah.
yes.
Can answer.
For me, at least.
Yeah, Neil Young, probably right off the top of my head anyway.
Yeah. What like I know you guys being in the industry, a lot of times I ask, and you know, the talent doesn't listen to anybody else. But if you listen to music, who are you listening to right now?
It's kind of all over the
People
place.
Spotify.
Yeah, honestly, we're
Okay.
listening to
It's
so much
everywhere.
music so often that we've fallen into the void of having to pull out your phone and kind of look at your recents because it's just kind of everywhere.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, I can name a few. Like I've been listening to a lot of Imagine Dragons recently.
Okay, yeah, know them.
Yeah, there's a band called Junip that's really great.
Actually, heard of them.
Leo Kottke,
Yeah,
the Fruit Bats.
yeah. Fruit bats are great.
I've actually listened to some Killers recently.
Oh, the
Which is-
Killers from Vegas. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So
I
it's kind of
I,
everywhere.
I originally thought they were from England.
Mm.
When I first heard them, the singer, he just has that kind of English kind of a sound.
Yeah, you're right. There's some sort of inflection there that kind of sounds English, right?
They borrow from us, we borrow from them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Across the
exactly.
pond.
How are you guys handling the success? Like, you guys are going to be off the charts. Like, I remember your last album debuted on the Billboard at like 3. I think this one's going to be close to uno. I mean, this is going to be just blowing them out of water. So how are you handling success at such a young age? And I mean, and much more to come. How do you keep grounded?
Success to us is the ability to tour and travel the world and fulfill our personal, desires to
Right.
experience the world and play rock and roll across the nation and touch people and let them touch us. And to us, that it's overwhelming. It's incredible. It's the most humbling experience you could ever imagine. I never would have thought years ago that the four of us would be able to accomplish all the things that we have in the last few years. And this last year in the pandemic has really been the year to allow all of us to sort of think about that, to actually
Right.
have a chance to stop, because it's just been chaos for the last 3 years.
Yeah, I think if that's sort of you measure what the definition of success really is, and again, like Danny said, for us, it's not monetarily, and it's not maybe it's not fame, it's not status, it's not fame. It's success to us is being able to play for the people and play rock and roll for our generation.
And artistic freedom.
Yeah, and I think 3 years ago, prior to the first hint of us in any public eye, I don't think that 4 younger guys playing rock and roll and blues music in their garage would ever think that we'd be here right now.
Okay, I'm going to wrap it up because I know you guys have a whack of stuff to do, but I'm just going to ask you a couple questions. So just make them really short and tight. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you guys. A friend of mine, Mandy, asked me to ask, what's the most annoying question you get asked constantly? And second, what would you like to say to your Canadian fans in leaving?
I'd say the most annoying question is, how do you guys feel about getting compared to Led Zeppelin?
But that's an obvious answer.
Have you guys ever heard
see
that?
Yeah.
or you think that's an odd one? Maybe we should give a more creative one. Yeah, that's a pretty good
It's
one.
just the truth, man.
It's just the truth.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think one thing that we'd like to say to the Canadian fans, especially, so we're from Michigan, so
We're basically Canadian.
we're neighbors. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
basically Canadian, and we've been there. Danny and I were discussing this actually before this interview. We've been to Canada throughout, maybe twice, and so we're really looking forward more than anything to getting into Canada more as we move on and we progress forward, and we hope to see see everybody's faces there.
We certainly haven't had enough of Canada yet.
No.
You guys have been just great to talk to, and I can't say I wish you success because you have it, and this album's just gonna kick ass. I'm telling you right now, it's a deep, dark album in a few ways, but I mean, it's gonna reach all the demographics from rock, prog rock, hard rock, to even that little bit of country that I was talking about. So thanks again, guys.
Yeah.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Thank you.